Good afternoon. My name is Jeremy Hartman, presenting Benchmark Organizational Design Structure and Change, or the MGT 605 Leadership in Organizations, for Professor Denny Lassard. So, looked at the Fortune magazine Most Admired list for 2021. I was really interested to see Amazon. I use Amazon a lot. I'm a big customer, but they're number 2. And so I figured, hey, there's usually a lot of swirl around Amazon. Might as well figure out where they could make some improvements. So I chose Amazon. They're number 2. And the area that I wanted to focus on was financial soundness. Now everybody thinks, hey, Amazon must make a lot of money, and they do, but their margins are very small. So their retail operations are barely profitable. Most of their profits of Amazon come from web services, which is about 63%. Other profits come from sources of advertising. So why is this a problem? Well, if any of the profits of web services or advertising start to fall, Amazon may not be able to continue offering such low prices that we all have come accustomed to, or their fast and free shipping, which everybody loves. The other big issue in financial soundness is their product quality concerns that they're seeing. Amazon has a huge supply chain, a lot of demand for fast turnaround, so they're not able to screen all of their suppliers. And so what's happening is product quality is going down. Consumers are getting inauthentic products, like things that are fake, or they're getting things that are broken or just used. And there's a lot of dissatisfaction on Amazon by getting these parts. So what's happening, what that does is that the competition for other companies can come in and start taking business away from Amazon and making them less successful. So ramifications and underperformance. So, well, currently, yes, they're one of the most admired companies in the whole world. So, they're not in danger, but consumer confidence is very important. So people have become used to how fast Amazon is. Future state, other large retailers, competition will exploit Amazon weaknesses. So other companies will look to make Amazon look bad and fill the gaps where they're missing. The Amazon current structure, obviously everybody knows about Jeff Bezos. He will be stepping down in July. So that's going to cause a little bit of instability, but maybe that's a good thing for new leadership to focus on improving retention and job satisfaction scores. Amazon's overall structure is definitely decentralized, which allows Amazon to operate more efficiently without red tape, normally seen in a centralized organizational structure. The culture, man, interesting stuff if you look out there about what's the working culture like. A lot of employees are pushed really hard. The workforce is pushed to be called peculiar. That's a good thing out there. And Amazon is designed to make money for the shareholders. The employees are pushed hard to come up with new services, and how they treat their employees. There's a lot of issues with how they treat their employees during the COVID-19 pandemic. So conscious capitalism at Amazon, is that going to happen? There's some interesting things where they acquired Whole Foods, which is very famous for their conscious capitalism. So there's a little bit of a thought that might creep over to Amazon, or hopefully not, that Amazon's culture creeps over to Whole Foods. But currently they stay separated. I don't think Amazon right now is a conscious capitalistic company. They mainly focus on the shareholder and their upper leadership profits. So the Cotter's 8-step challenge model. So there's a lot of issues at Amazon. So some of the ways to analyze a problem is to look at the profit margins are so low, and they've been decreasing due to supply chain issues. So how can you improve it without first defining the problem? So create a sense of urgency, communicate to your workforce what the real problem is. Building a guiding coalition, so they need to develop a task force at Amazon, challenged to find better ways to screen their supply base, also become more efficient, which is insane. How do you become more efficient? But how do you cut costs? How do you save costs without hurting the consumer? Form a strategic vision and initiative. Amazon leadership should immediately monetarily incentivize their workforce. So just not pushing them harder to work to come up with this stuff, but to actually incentivize them with goals or some sort of money system. Enlist an army, a voluntary army. Well, I don't think you're going to get much volunteers at Amazon. From their employee satisfaction is fairly low. I don't think that's going to be a voluntary thing. That's why I think incentivizing with money will help. 5, enable the action by removing barriers. So whatever Amazon barriers are in place to distract from solving the problem, lower profit margins, and the poor quality, Amazon needs to remove them. The task force should identify those problems, and the leadership should listen. Short-term wins. So how do you gain momentum? This is a big challenge of a big company. So obviously focus on a few smaller targets. They can test their hypotheses on smaller subsections, just staying away from lofty goals. Sustain acceleration. So they need to monitor the progress of the team. If they feel that the team has hit a wall, they need to ensure that they help the team climb the wall. So not pushing them harder, but enabling them. Instituting change. So after several smaller focus groups and data analysis, the team believes that they have found solutions. They need to institute the change. Now, after you institute change, it's important that leadership continues to monitor to make sure that those changes actually continue to improve. Hypothetical solutions. So how do you challenge the change? So adopt a conscious capital culture with new leadership. That's what I would say. Hey, you got a new leadership, might as well take the focus away from the shareholder and back to the employees, and get them to energize and get them to come up with ideas and incentivize them. So the other thing they could do is actively work on creating a process to reduce the amount of suppliers to better the quality and authenticity. So yes, reducing the suppliers is going to hurt the supply chain, but they have to do something. They can't continue to go down this rabbit hole. Another thing too is to maybe deliver some tier deliveries where it's not as expensive. The delivery is a little bit slower, so it takes the pressure off of Amazon to have such an immense supply chain. So maybe some sort of, instead of Prime, something the opposite where it's slower, but you don't pay as much at all. So challenges to change. What would happen in the subsystem? Changing a company to becoming a conscious capitalistic company, it's going to be challenges with the upper leadership, middle management, and the common workers. So they need to have a focused change, action plans, and how to monitor the change after it's been enacted. Supply reduction screening system. The subsystem needs to focus on how to implement the changes without drastically hurting the company and its reputations. Slower the speed subscription. I talked about slow speed subscription. The team needs to focus on the voice of the customer. How do they pitch this tier to the consumers and ensure that a good amount of subscriptions are made? It's going to take a lot of research, but it's needed to reduce the pressure. Managerial lessons learned. Design structure. Design the structure for the current demand of the company with flexibility to change when needed, embedded in the structure. Building culture. Leading with my heart, ensuring that focus is placed on the employee. I need to make sure that they feel respected, needed, trusted, and appreciated. I also need to make sure that I hold leadership accountable to do the same on a consistent basis. And then managing change. Start with a why, clearly communicating the problem, that why is it a problem. Then get people involved from all tiers of the company to work on the solutions, communicating to the entire team, making sure that the change doesn't come from the top, but represents throughout the company. Thank you very much. I really had a great time in this class. This was an amazing opportunity. I really appreciate everything you did for me, and best of luck in the future.